Hi everybody, quick garage update from Graham as he take inside. There's the old bonnet off the Fiesta. Do you see the Fiesta's on eBay at the moment? It's on with the EcoBoost engine. It's on for £10,100, which is not a bad price. I think the auction runs out this afternoon or this evening, so I'll be keeping a close eye on that. And good luck to the new owner. Plenty of information on the website if you need it about the car. Right, so the plan today is to remove the I'll drop the keys on the floor. Is to remove the dampers from the car. See, there's a car. And the dampers are going back to Intrax for a full service. It's the first time they've been serviced. I haven't had it done since I've owned it, and the dampers are probably 12 years old now, so they need to be serviced, new O-rings and new oil. What I've got to do is put the engine crane back in the corner. Will Pedley borrowed that because he had to take his EcoBoost engine out of his Lotus because he had an oil leak on the clutch slave. He sorted that, so it came back, and he gave me a beautiful, really nice Red Bull race team hat, which apparently was actually worn on the grid at the Dutch Grand Prix last year. So thanks for that, Will. You borrow it again anytime. I just want more merchandise. So that's got to go back in the corner, and then what we'll do is we will basically take the bonnet off and remove the dampers, and I've got to take the springs off the dampers. And so I've got to very carefully measure the length of the springs so that when the dampers come back, I can fit the springs back on, do the spring seats back up so that the springs are the same length. Because if I don't do that, then the car's not going to sit flat when it's on the floor, and it's not going to handle properly. So that's the job for today. Is basically, I mean, the car's quite clean underneath. I've just got to take the bonnet off and do a few bits and pieces. I'm not going to get mucky doing it, but what I need to do is support the weight of the hubs on the end of the suspension, because there's quite a lot of weight there. I don't want them just drooping down, so I have to find a way of tying it all back up again so I can still work on the car. What I would like to do over the winter is actually remove all the wishbones, get them all shot blasted and repainted, and possibly crack tested as well, because again they're all quite old now and they've been through a few knocks and bangs and crashes, but we don't talk about the crashes, so they could probably do with a good clean and a respray. It'll look very nice when they're all put back on again. I've also got plans. I'm going to modify the floor. See the floor? There's a floor just there. I'm going to raise the front edge of the floor, put an angle on it so that the air's channeled down underneath the car and accelerates and generates more low pressure, which gives you more downforce. So yeah, quite a lot of little things to do. Engine gearbox needs to go back to Silverstone for a full service and inspection. The engine's fine, no problems at all, the engine, so I'm going to leave that well alone. This will keep me busy for a few months, I hope, and I will be posting more updates as we go along. So thanks for watching. Please click subscribe and like the video, and share it if you can. Thank you very much. Well, that's the first pair of dampers off. That's the front pair. Very easy to remove. Just take a couple of bolts out, one at each end, and then support the weight of the front suspension so it doesn't just droop down and rest on the anti-roll bars. These are the Intrax dampers. They're absolutely beautiful. They're not bloody cheap though. I think they're 4-way adjustable, and I fitted shorter springs to try and reduce some weight, as we saved about 600 grams if I remember rightly by swapping to shorter springs. Same poundage but shorter. We've got these little canisters here, which I guess are full of compressed gas or oil, and basically they need servicing. So I've got to remove the springs. Before I remove the springs, I've got to very carefully and accurately measure the length of the spring, which is quite straightforward, and then count the number of rotations to reduce the tension so I can take the plate off the end and then the spring slides off, and then make a note of the actual damper settings as well with that one there. That's the one that's quite key, that we get to play with when it's wet or dry. We just make a few clicks to make the suspension softer or stiffer again for when it dries out. So yeah, right, good, that's the front's done, and the next job is to now just quickly take the engine cover off the back and then remove the rear pair. Do the same process with those, strip them down, take the springs off and measure the lengths, and then box it up and send it off for its service. Right, so that's the front end, and now we're going to do the rear. So again, it's just 4 bolts that hold the dampers on with the springs, and then once I've got them off, I will again measure the length of the springs so that when I get the dampers back I can adjust them to the same length, and then the car will sit level on the floor. Right, here we go. Right, so I have removed the pair of rear dampers, and they're now on the floor down here. There are the rear ones. So again, measure the spring lengths, undo the platform, take the springs off, and then put them in a box and then post them off for the service by Intrax. Right, the springs are off. I've measured the spring lengths before I took the springs off. I made a few other measurements, and they are all ready now for wrapping bubble wrap and sticking in the box, and then posting off to Intrax. So I've got some springs and spacers on both sides of the car, for front and rear, and lots of notes so I can remember how to put them all back together again so that they're optimised for the car. So I think the next thing to do is to take some of these components off and clean them and check them, make sure that they're not bent or anything. Then what I'll do is I'll take all the suspension off and take the gearbox off, and then we will get the gearbox serviced over at the Hewland guy at Silverstone, and I'll get all the wishbones professionally repainted so that they look clean again.